Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're getting into a topic that really fundamentally shapes our world, the current state of nuclear weapons. As I was looking through the sources for this, one thing just leapt out. Get this. A single nuclear warhead could kill hundreds of thousands of people. The sources, they even estimate that just one detonated over New York. That could mean over 500,000 deaths. It's just a staggering level of power we're discussing.
Absolutely. And that really sets up our mission for this deep dive, doesn't it? We're here to unpack the raw facts and figures. We're drawing everything from the material provided, especially bits from the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons at ICANN. We want to help you understand, okay, who actually has these weapons? Where are they? And what are the real implications?
Exactly. The goal here is to give you a clear, kind of concise overview. It's a super complex landscape, obviously, but we want to highlight the surprising bits, the key insights, so you walk away feeling informed, not totally buried in data. Okay, so let's unpack this. The sources tell us there are precisely nine. United States, China, France, the UK, Pakistan, India, Israel, and North Korea. Just 9.
And the numbers involved.
Yeah.
Wow. These 9 states, together, they hold roughly 12,331 nuclear warheads. That's the overall estimate. And more than 9,600 of those are actually in active military stockpiles. This is according to the Federation of Atomic Scientists 2025 status report.
Over 9,500 ready to go.
Yeah. Now, historically speaking, it's worth remembering this is way down from the Cold War peak, right? That was around 70,000 warheads. Huge difference. But, and this is a really important but from the sources, nuclear arsenals are actually expected to grow in capability in the next decade. So fewer weapons overall, maybe, but the ones that remain are far more advanced, far more capable.
That's a critical point. It's not just the quantity. Okay, so who has the most? Russia leads, with 5,449, followed very closely by the United States, with 5,244. So, those two countries alone, that's almost 90% of the world's total nuclear weapons right there.
It is almost 90%. That concentration is, well, it's stark. It tells you a lot about where the strategic focus still lies, globally speaking. It also means global stability can, kind of paradoxically, hinge on the actions and communications of just those two major players, of very centralized risk.
And there's an issue with transparency, too, right? The numbers for North Korea and Israel aren't confirmed.
That's right, they're estimates. The sources suggest North Korea has enough fissile material, that's the stuff you need for the reaction, like uranium or plutonium, for maybe 40 to 50 weapons. And they estimate North Korea has about 50 existing warheads already built. For Israel, the estimate is material for up to 200 warheads, with around 90 thought to be currently assembled. So, yeah, some uncertainty there.
Okay, so we've got the who and the how many, roughly. But let's shift gears a bit. It's not just the numbers, it's the impact. We mentioned that New York statistic. And most of these 12,000 plus weapons out there, they are many, many times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
Right, and this brings us to this specific category you hear about, tactical nuclear weapons. Now, technically, they're defined as any weapon not classified as strategic under the U.S.-Russian arms control agreements. Simple enough definition, but...
But the name is tricky because tactical makes you think small, right? Maybe less destructive, like it's somehow more manageable.
Exactly, the misconception.
Yeah.
And the sources are really clear on this. While people call them smaller or low yield, these tactical warheads can have explosive yields up to 300 kilotons.
300 kilotons? How does that compare to Hiroshima?
That's 20 times the power of the bomb that destroyed Hiroshima. 20 times.
Wow. Okay, so smaller is extremely relative here.
Extremely. The really worrying distinction is that because they're framed differently from the big city-destroying strategic weapons, some worry they might lower the threshold for actually using a nuclear weapon in a conflict. Like they might seem more usable.
That's a chilling thought. What are the numbers for these tactical weapons?
Okay, so Russia is estimated to have about 1,912 of these non-strategic warheads. The U.S. has around 200, and importantly, about 100 of those U.S. tactical weapons are actually deployed forward in 5 European countries right now.
Deployed in Europe. Which brings us neatly to the next layer, hosting nations. This isn't just about the 9 states that built the bombs.
Correct. It adds complexity. So the sources list 6 states that currently host another country's nuclear weapons on their territory. You've got Turkey, Italy, Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands. They all host U.S. nuclear weapons. Different numbers in each, like 20 in Turkey, 35 in Italy, maybe 10 to 15 in Belgium.
And Belarus.
And Belarus, yeah. They announced in 2023 that they're now hosting Russian nuclear weapons.
So why do countries agree to this? What's the arrangement?
Well, the U.S., for its part, insists it maintains full operational control. Meaning, they hold the keys, technically, but having the weapons stationed there definitely helps with U.S. nuclear war planning and strategy in those regions. It's about alliances and perceived security needs.
And these hosting countries, they haven't joined that treaty you mentioned, the TPNW?
No, none of them have,
Yeah.
just like the nuclear-armed states themselves.
Yeah.
The Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, the TPNW, aims for a total ban. But all 9 nuclear states, they haven't signed or ratified it. And they've consistently voted against UN resolutions supporting it since 2018. Well, North Korea since 2020.
Okay, so the nuclear states and the hosts are out. Why? What's the resistance about?
Fundamentally, it boils down to deterrence. They and their allies argue that these weapons are essential for their national security. They believe possessing them prevents attacks. So, from their perspective, the TPNW undermines their core security strategy. It's a basic disagreement on how to achieve global security.
Right. It's a clash of worldviews, essentially. Okay, so there's one more group mentioned in the sources, the nuclear endorsers. What does that mean?
Yeah, so beyond the hosts, there are 28 other countries. These, plus the 6 hosting nations, make 34 endorsing countries in total. Basically, it means they allow for the potential use of nuclear weapons on their behalf, usually as part of big defense alliances. Think NATO, or the CSTO, which is the Collective Security Treaty Organization led by Russia.
So even if they don't have weapons themselves or host them, they're still plugged into the nuclear system through these alliances.
Exactly. It shows how the nuclear question extends far beyond just those 9 states. It's woven into the fabric of major international security arrangements.
Okay, so let's try and pull this together. Key takeaways from this deep dive. We've seen this intense concentration of nuclear power, mainly U.S. and Russia.
Yeah, nearly 90% between them.
We've learned that even the quote-unquote smaller tactical weapons are incredibly destructive, way beyond Hiroshima.
Absolutely. That tactical label can be really misleading.
And then there's this whole complex web, right? Treaties like the TPNW that aren't universally accepted, countries hosting weapons for allies, and dozens more endorsing their potential use through alliances.
It's a complicated picture.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding these different pieces, the numbers, the types of weapons, the politics, the treaties, it's really crucial, isn't it? It helps you, the listener, make sense of global security debates, form your own opinions. Because this stuff, it genuinely affects everyone.
Definitely. So as we wrap up, here's something to maybe chew on. We heard the total number of warheads is way down from the Cold War. That sounds good, right? But then we also heard that arsenals are set to grow in capability, and most countries involved aren't signing up to ban them. So what does that tension tell us about the future? About deterrence? About where global security might be heading? What really stands out to you from everything we've unpacked today?